Hi ladies and gentlemen, it's Dirk with Kopp's Wholesale with another duty approved or not optic review. So today we're going to be looking at Riton Optics, the X3 Tactix MPRD miniaturized red dot sight. So this particular red dot sight is a little bit smaller than Riton's original PRD optic, and it's more suited for some of the smaller pistols out there like the Glock 43X MOS or the Glock 48 MOS. So today we're going to go over what's in the box, starting with the optic itself. So as we take a look at this, it has some nice, easy to use buttons. There is a down button as well as an up button. You have your standard windage and elevation knobs, and then a little departure from Riton's last sight. The MPRD actually has the battery mounted to the bottom of the sight. So we have the sight, just as came standard with the last sight that we reviewed. It has a nice sturdy storage box. We have the tools to mount the sight as well as a tool to adjust windage and elevation. We have a CR2032 battery. I would have liked to have seen an Energizer or a Duracell, but we'll see how this particular battery works out. We have mounting screws. We have a lens cloth. We have the thank you card with the Riton Optics manual, so you can get to the link there and go to the manual and take a look at it if you need it. And then one thing that wasn't included with our original purchase was the screws so we could mount the Riton Optic to the Glock MOS system. So that's what we got. We purchased it direct from our distributor. We didn't get it from Riton, so we could give you a positive, unbiased, this is what we experienced type review of the optic without feeling any obligation to the manufacturer of the optic. Our obligation is to the officers working the streets, working detectives division, working in custody, all these other places. That's who our loyalty is to, not to the manufacturers of these things. If it works, we're going to tell you. But if it doesn't work, we're going to tell you that as well. So it has a nice card. It has tools. One thing that I noticed about this particular optic when we got it is it didn't have that nice cover. There was a small plastic cover that came with the PRD, which was a little disappointing. The other thing that it didn't have was there was no Picatinny rail mount, which came with the other sight as well, the PRD. And so that was a little bit disappointing that for the same price or at the same price point, we didn't get maybe what we were hoping for in the sight. But we'll have to try it out and see if it was worth the money that we paid for it, and it was going to be something that the men and women of the law enforcement can use on a daily basis and feel confident that it's going to serve them and keep them safe. So another thing too, again, batteries on the bottom, so it's going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be something that we can just mount and go through a top load battery and just leave it chucked up on top of your slide. So that's going to be something to get used to, but a lot of the big companies, Trigicon, with their particular sights, they also do the same thing and it's worked for them. And it probably gives a little bit of strength to the sight. So, interestingly enough, this little sight will actually fit on the MOS sight plate. So as you can see here, it just drops right on there, and we'll end up screwing it in, and I'll show you that. But it ends up fitting on the same sight plate that the Loophole Delta Point Pro fits on. So I thought that was kind of neat. So if you have a Delta Point, or if you have something that has a Delta Point footprint, you can put it on there. My understanding is it also has a shield footprint as well. So as we take a look at this particular sight was going to be mounted on a MOS gun, a Glock 45 or a Glock 19 or a Glock 17. And so when we got it, we took a look and we tried to use the standard screws to mount it up. And so what happens with these standard screws, as I'll show you in here in just a second, is that when you mount them up, they protrude conspicuously beneath the MOS plate, so that's not going to work if you're trying to mount this to your Glock MOS. So we bought the Tactix MPRD mounting kit that's available through Riton Optics, and lo and behold, it had the perfect size mounting screw. So here's the original screw, you can see, that came with the kit, and this is the other screw that came with the mounting kit. So we went ahead and bought that so we could mount it up and fit it on the Glock MOS system. Now the Glock MOS system is such a common system, you would hope that there would be screws included in the package as opposed to having to buy additional screws, but unfortunately it is what it is. It costs about, I think, $12 to $14, and I got some additional other screws, and you can see one of our other videos for the contents of the Tactix MPRD mounting kit and if it fits with the PRD or not, which I'll tell you right now it doesn't, unfortunately, but it is what it is. And so this is not an unboxing video. We actually pulled this little sight out because I wanted to try the first thing that the first claim that it actually made. The first claim that it actually made was that the Optic runs for 12 hours. So I pulled it out of the package, put the battery in there, chucked it up on this sight plate, which will eventually go on my Glock 45 and our Lone Wolf distributor slide for testing. And lo and behold, it did. It worked for 12 hours. It stayed on just a little bit beyond 12 hours. So what that means for those of us who work 8-hour shifts, those of us who work for 10-hour shifts, it's going to be okay during those times, right? It's gonna last the whole time. If you're working a 12, or usually 12 and a half, I would probably, as you're going out to the car after briefing, getting your car set up, maybe as part of your setup, after you got your car all set up, turn on your Optic, make sure it's good to go as you're pointing your pistol in a safe direction, hopefully in a clearing barrel at the station, and then turn it on. And then maybe if you know that you're going to have to work extra, like sometimes we had to work a 16, I would make sure to turn the Optic off and turn it back on so you know that it's going to be on when you need it. So there's a couple things that I was looking at this particular Optic, and I was looking at the owner's manual. Initially, when I first looked at the owner's manual, when we got this Optic, it said that the Optic was waterproof. So I thought, cool, well, that'll be perfect. If it lasts for 12 hours, it's waterproof, then it's something that could potentially be used. It's not really designed to be used for duty use, but could potentially. So this is some of our criteria, so we're going to go ahead and maybe try it out. But then as I looked at it again, the waterproofing claim disappeared out of the manual. And so I don't know that this little guy is 100% waterproof. They are actually releasing some of the Riton Optics, a newer version of this in the PRD, and there's a lot of sealant around some of the places on it, it looks like on the website. So it's likely that those will probably be a little bit more waterproof than this particular sight. But as you can see, it's got a nice little red dot there. It's a 3 MOA dot. And so I wanted to kind of show you this information. This is kind of the beginning of our testing process. We're going to make sure it lasts for the 12 hours, which it did. We're going to do some shooting with it, make sure it holds 0. And we're going to be doing some other testing the finish, testing if it gets dropped or if it gets rough handled, what will happen to it. So this is just the beginning, and we're going to keep moving forward with some more testing, but I wanted to show you what comes in the package and what we're looking at when we first get it to find out if it's duty approved or not. Hey guys, Dirk with Cops Wholesale, just finishing up this Riton X3 Tactix MPRD review. So remember, we dropped it nice and hard about 3 times. The last good one was right on top of the hood, and as you can see, it banged up the hood and cracked the glass on it. But the red dot was still nice and bright, so I was really hopeful when I brought it to the range that I would be able to utilize it and that it would be good to go. Unfortunately, it shifted. The red dot shifted down about 3 inches, and so that's not acceptable for duty use. So with that being said, is this just junk? Is it something that you should just completely pass on, hard pass on the Riton X3 Tactix MPRD, I don't think so. I think that this actually has a niche. I think it's a reasonably priced red dot, one of these little micro red dots that would go great on a Glock 43X MOS or a Sig Sauer P365 XL. I think this would be great for off-duty use. So please don't just write this little sight off as, oh, well, we dropped it a couple times and it zero shifted. I'm not going to look at it. This is not designed to be riding around in your holster, fighting suspects, landing on, sliding on, getting rained on. That's not what this is for. But I think this could very safely be used, especially with the 12-hour window that you have when you turn it on. And I actually tested that. It does work. It does stay on the full 12 hours. I think you could definitely use this for off-duty use. I think it has a niche there, very reasonably priced. And had we not done this on purpose, I'd be interested to see if we tried to return it to Riton, what they'd say. So, you know, hey, it was accidentally dropped. And I'd be wondering if they would replace it. Now, of course, we're not going to do that with this particular unit because we did this on purpose. We tried to destroy it, and we didn't destroy it. We did break it, but we didn't. I've seen far more catastrophic failures on red dots that are far more expensive. So the Cops Wholesale bottom line is this is definitely not duty approved because it's just not robust enough for that. But I think it's definitely off-duty approved. And if you want to use it as a hobbyist for just fun at the range, definitely can be used for that. But I think it's robust enough for off-duty use, and I would trust it. I really like the sight. I was really hoping that the zero wouldn't shift. The other thing, too, is I took these little screws off, and the ones that I purchased extra, and because I needed to mount them on my Glock MOS system, so you need a little bit shorter screws. And these little screws held up real good. They didn't crack, they didn't bend, they didn't get out of, they're still straight. So I think Riton makes some quality products. Be looking forward to some of their new products because they say that they are potentially waterproof. So look forward to the next Cops Wholesale review of Riton Optics, something I'm really excited about. Until next time, guys, be safe, and we will talk to you later. Thanks.